Hello graphic designers. Photoshop is all around us, and today we're going to continue exploring real-world examples of applications of blending mode. And just yesterday, Hulu premiered a new show called Future Man, and there's a lot of really cool things going on in this visual. We're going to be taking a closer look at this image, and you're going to be reinterpreting it, you're going to be reimagining it. You're going to need to include yourself and two buddies. I noticed that on the left side, we've got this red visual. Looks like maybe they took the rectangular marquee, made a selection, paint bucket red, and then cycled through the different blending modes. And then on the opposite side, we've got, in contrast with what looks like a small town in maybe Florida based on these trees, we've got like a sort of futuristic city. Again, created a selection, maybe paint bucket blue. Additionally, with the blending modes, it looks like maybe they painted on his face a little bit right there. Looks like on the right side of the central character, which is going to be you, they painted on the right, they painted red on the left. I'm looking for something amazing. You guys are going to develop your new show inspired by this Hulu original, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are going to produce. So this is a great source of inspiration because there's so much going on. We've got this little helicopter with a lens flare. We've got people running in the foreground. On the left side, we've got this car flipped over on fire. There's just so much room for creativity. You guys are gonna really experiment with this, but let's jump on in. And here's a very quick example that I just created a second ago. Let's remove the individuals, and I'll show you how I broke this down. So we've got two images, and what I did initially is I selected, I think I searched streets, Los Angeles Street and Tokyo Street, because we wanted a nice juxtaposition. And then what I did was I used the rectangular marquee, and then I sort of carved away a little bit at each of these layers so that it was just about half and half, so more or less like that. Great. Next, what we're going to do is you're going to decide a color that you want to use, and we're going to be using something called Color Scheme Designer. It's a great way to find complementary colors, and I would recommend that you do that. You don't have to use red and blue, although it's a cool color scheme. If you wanted to use instead, maybe, let's see, maybe something like this purple and yellow. What you could do is take a print screen, pop this into Photoshop, like I'm going to do right now, and now we've got the eyedropper tool at our disposal, so I can select purple in the foreground, and I'm going to swap this, and I've got now yellow in the foreground. So these are complementary colors and they're opposite ends of the color wheel. So what do? Well, initially I selected this sort of green and purple, I'm sorry, this like green and orange, and I really like the effect of this orange on the Los Angeles street. It's the color burn blending mode. Well, how did I get that? I cycled through, and again, here's the color burn. I really like that. I think that looks pretty amazing. But there's lots of cool ones that you should consider. I was very close to selecting overlay. This is much of this class is about experimentation. If you wanted to do hard mix, I'm cool with that. So we'll leave it temporarily at color. In fact, we'll hide both of these layers for the time being so we can create a new layer. So this is what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to use the rectangular marquee. You're going to left click and drag. You're going to use the paint bucket, boom. And then what you're going to do is, oops, there we go. Cycle through the different blending modes until you see one that you think looks pretty cool. And overlay. I think overlay is the one that we want. Overlay is always my go-to. I'm going to swap now the foreground and the background. I'm going to use the rectangular marquee. And we're going to go like this. Paint bucket fill. Oops. Make sure that you guys do this on a different layer because that's going to make finding the blending mode a little bit easier. Let's see. And I like color dodge. And I like soft light. Maybe you guys see one that you think looks cool. And I like color. I'm actually going to press Command J. So I'm going to copy that layer. And now I'm going to scroll through the blending modes one more time. Because one of the things that I really like about blending modes is you can have blending modes on blending modes. And I like that. So here we've got soft light over a color blending mode. So we've got two different blending modes in there. And then what we can do is we can actually paint their faces or the edges of their body, the shades of that color. So I'm going to zoom in on my man Andrew, and I'm going to hold, you guys, this is this is new. If you hold Command and you click on the thumbnail, it creates a selection around the individual. So now I'm gonna create a new layer above Andrew, and I'm gonna press B, and I'm gonna paint like so, just along the edges, so we can create this kind of effect that we see with this guy right there. You see how just one side of his body is shaded that blue? We're gonna do something kind of similar, and we'll see how it works. Maybe it'll be amazing, maybe it'll be kind of silly. Let's check out, let's figure out which blending mode works. Maybe overlay, and I'm gonna press Command J, and that looks maybe too much. So what you're gonna do, guys, is you're gonna experiment. You're gonna see what works great. You're gonna come up with the name of a show. You're gonna go to dafont.com. You're gonna save this as a PSD at the end of class. I'm super excited to see the quality of your work.